What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, joined by Fitty, Trent, Kevol. We are here to review the Game 6 of the Penguins versus the Washington Capitals, second round playoff hockey 2017. We're here to just talk about the game, analyze what we saw from the game, and basically look ahead to now what is going to be a Game 7 on Wednesday night in Washington. Penguins, Capitals, Game 7. A lot of us kind of predicted it to go pretty far, whether it was 6 or 7 games. We expected a very close series. But in this game, it wasn't a very close game. I think we can say that pretty easily. And I thought that the game generally from an entertainment standpoint was pretty boring, but it wasn't because of the Capitals. The Capitals played a great game. They played arguably their best complete game of the playoffs. Well, the Penguins looked like an AHL team playing out there. They couldn't pass. They couldn't check. They couldn't clear their zone. They couldn't even, shoot. It was terrible. So as a Penguins fan, I don't think I've seen a Penguins playoff game this bad for a long time. Let's just say that. The effort wasn't there. The execution wasn't there. The players played awful. I couldn't name one player that played well. The coaching was bad. I mean, nothing was good for the Penguins. If you're a Penguins fan, let's hope that it changes in Game 7. And like I said on the last recap of these two, where Washington did win that game as well, Game 7's a toss-up. You never know with Game 7, and we're going to get into that. But Game 6 certainly wasn't a toss-up. Washington, from the very start, took it to the Penguins, and they won it 5-2. So looking at the stats for each team, starting with the winning team, your boy, Burakovsky, with 2 goals there, Fitty, Trent. He's a +3. He did have a penalty in this game, but had a pretty good game for himself. Oshie also had a great game once again. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Backstrom, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. His goal was right at the start of the third period, and I didn't even sit down yet, and they already scored. That was depressing. And Kuznetsov had 2 assists, 2 points, 4 hits, also played a pretty good game. What I've noticed from Kuznetsov is he's kind of a player that, he seems like he is great when everybody around him is playing well. He plays he's great. He's maybe the best player. When everyone around him is playing really well, he's not one of these players where he'll just do it on his own. But when everybody's playing great, it just seems like Kuznetsov is playing unreal. But he had another good game here with 2 assists. Carlson had a goal, very good defensive game, 7 shots on goal, 4 hits, a block. Orlov had an assist in this game. Niskanen had an assist in this game. So a lot of points coming from the defense here. 3 defensemen got a tally in this game. Ovechkin didn't get on the stat sheet, but this was one of his better games. He was a -1. He didn't play a ton of minutes, but he had some nice opportunities. A couple on the power play, had a few hits in this game. I thought that nobody really on Washington played a poor game. The only really bad part of the game that they played was the last 5 minutes when they kind of took, the foot off the gas pedal and they kind of glided to the finish line. But that was the only bad part that Washington played. This was by far, in my opinion, the best game that they played. They were good on the forecheck. Specifically, that was the biggest reason why they won this game. Pittsburgh, for whatever reason, even when they would get the puck out, which was rare, they were stumbling with the puck. They couldn't pass. They couldn't receive the puck. It was just one of those games where no bounce would go the Penguins' way when they got the puck, even when they were, executing on the first play. They couldn't execute on the next step. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Penguins do respond. For the Penguins, though, in the third period, they had a little glimmer of hope at the end, even though they knew they were going to lose the game. At least they did finish strong with a couple of goals. Malkin did score one of them. Gensel scored the other from Crosby. Sheary and Dumoulin got the other assist. And I didn't think anybody really played well for the Penguins. The only good thing I can say about this game, I thought Olli Mata had a pretty decent game defensively and was one of the only defensemen that did have a good game. I thought the defensemen in particular struggled in this game, which I think this was by far their worst game overall. I've been praising them for how well they've been playing. It's interesting to see now that they don't have Trevor Daley, who's kind of known for more of his, puck moving ability, and Letang is obviously out. They did struggle on the breakout, and they weren't able to get the puck out of their own end for a majority of the night. Also, I did think Mata played well because he was one of the only guys that could do that. He was making the right pass, and he didn't really play bad defensively. I didn't think Fleury played a terrible game. He just had some bad opportunities, specifically near the end where they scored their last 2 goals, where the team looked like they just gave up, and Washington went in and scored. But other than that, I can't say anyone played well. I did think that at the beginning of the game, they were playing really well in the face-off dot, but even that near the end of the game started to lose itself. So overall, you could just simply say this is like, if we were going to sum this up, this was just a crappy performance from the Penguins. You got to give respect to the Capitals for how they played and how they responded and how they won this Game 6 to force a Game 7. But watching the Penguins play, like, it was a really terrible game. What did you guys think about this one? I went through most of the performances, but did I miss any specifically?
Go ahead, Kev. Oh, I guess Kev left. All right. Too much pressure. Well, Mitch, you did handle a lot of the things. Oh, Kev's back. Ladies and gentlemen.
No, but hang on.
Kev is back. All right. We were dealing with some technical difficulties from Kev at the moment. Kev, you good?
I'm good. Sorry, I don't know what was going on there.
Take her away, Kev. I knew that you had a lot to say.
No, go ahead, Trent. No, go ahead, Trent.
I mean, Mitch, yeah, you did cover most of it. I think you said it really well. On both sides of the teams, neither one could really get set into the plays that they really wanted. Yes, Washington was able to get set more than Pittsburgh, but a lot of Pittsburgh, it seemed like either everyone was 2 seconds behind the play or 5 seconds ahead of the play. They were too excited or they weren't quick enough to get to that play. And that's ultimately why they ended up losing this game. I mean, you did cover most of the performances of players that did well, players that didn't do too well. One player that's done really well in the series and the playoffs so far that really let me down on the Pittsburgh Penguins side was Ian Cole tonight. I mean, he was a -3, 4 giveaways, did have 3 blocks, but he's known as the big hitter. He hits a lot. He had 0 hits in this game whatsoever. I mean, we saw how he destroyed Justin Williams the other day. So you need more of that, especially if the Penguins want to win these games. As you said, from the Washington Capitals standpoint, I mean, Ovechkin, he played well. He just didn't play well on the offensive side of the puck. They played well in the faceoff dot, though. Both Backstrom, Eller, and even Jay Beagle were all in the positive side on their faceoffs. Defensively, I think that their defense probably played their best defensive game in a while that we've seen. I mean, Olsner was there. He had a couple penalty minutes, but he did have a few hits. I mean, Shattenkirk.
Trent, I think this was a good example of a team playing good defensively. I don't think it was really their defense itself, but I thought just their team as a team, it seemed like they had multiple guys on the puck. They had, they were really quick on the puck. They were aggressive. And then when it started in the offensive end for them. So when they would give away the puck, they would be right on it and they would be forcing turnovers. And I don't know if it was the Penguins' lack of urgency or if it was the Capitals being aggressive and getting on them to lose the puck. But it just seemed like the Penguins lost the puck and made way too many poor plays in their own zone, which kept a lot more sustainable time for the Capitals. But it just looked like the Capitals were the more urgent team. They were the team that was on the puck all night long, and you got to give them credit that they were good defensively, not only in their own zone, but also in the Penguin zone playing offense.
And that's the important thing that we've also been mentioning for them to do for the past, I don't know how long, since the playoffs began. They need to work on their defensive side of the puck because, yes, they can get those great offensive streaks, but the defensive side really was not there. As we said, their top defensive defenseman always has been Brooks Orpik. I know people are saying that Olsner is kind of that defensive defenseman. I find him more of that defensive two-way kind of guy right in the middle. So it's hard to say. But yeah, as you said there, Mitch, they were quicker at the puck, they were hungrier, and they were much better defensively. Braden Holtby this game, did he have his best game? No. I mean, he made the saves that he needed to make. He kind of started giving up and just kind of coasting with the rest of his team near the end of the game. But nevertheless, he only made 16 saves. He didn't play outstanding. Fleury, he did play okay. Personally, I just found that he was really frustrated with himself. I mean, you saw some of the goals that he let in, and he wasn't frustrated mainly with the team. He was more just frustrated with himself, thinking that he should have had those saves. He should have been there. I mean, that goal, like the second goal when he was pressed up against the post and let like off of it a little bit and it snuck in behind him. He was just really upset from that because that's goaltending 101. You stick on the post when that player's on that side, and they just got lucky. So I think he was just upset, but I don't think it will continue, and I can definitely see Pittsburgh doing well in Game 7. But then again, Washington will also do well in Game 7 because, as we say, Game 7s, anything can happen. It's a toss-up. It's a one-game series, kind of like in the NFL.
Yeah, I think we should expect a competitive Game 7. I don't think we should expect the Penguins 6-2 win, and I don't think we should expect the Capitals 5-2 win.
No, it will be a much closer
I think we'll expect, a closer game, probably in overtime or like at least going down to the wire in the third period. I do think the Penguins will come out with more urgency. I do think the Capitals will play as well as they've been playing, and they've been picking up steam here. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. But one thing I do want to credit before Kev kind of lets go on whatever rant he's going to go off on today, I think you got to credit their coach, Trotz, for doing a good job in the line changing and kind of mixing and matching their players. Putting Tom Wilson with Ovechkin, I know that line doesn't play a lot, but that's actually helped that line and that depth. Putting, a couple players on the first and second lines that aren't usually there, but it has been working and it has been giving the Penguins some problems. So you got to credit that. And if you're the Penguins, I think, the lines today didn't work. I don't know. I think it was more effort than anything. I don't really think it was the lines. And I don't know. It just seemed like the Penguins didn't play well. Like from the very jump, they weren't urgent enough and they just didn't execute. And sometimes that happens. I'm not sure if it's the lines or not. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mike Sullivan does in Game 7. One thing I would say is put Gensel back on Crosby's line, please. Thank you. Okay. Kev, go.
Well, I think just full credit to the Washington Capitals. They played a complete game, 5 shots halfway through the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't recall that ever being happening to anyone. I don't think anyone has ever done that in the Crosby era, ever that low. They were just physical in all aspects. They played the more desperate game. It wasn't a sensational game by any means, but they played a really strong road game. And they played a team. It was a team effort. It was like I don't know what more I'm going to really add to what you've said. I mean, I thought Lars Eller stepped up really well. I thought TJ Oshie was great.
It was a very basic game, Kev.
Yeah,
it was very basic. We have a couple comments here. Sports FX says Cap's first line is playing amazing. With the switch of Ovechkin leaving the line. Derek Milani, coach, says Caps went to more basic defensive scheme, cut down the transition and odd man rushes versus the Penguins. I think that's part of it, but I also think that the Penguins just didn't execute. Like when they had the chance to do that, it seemed like the puck was going like behind their skates, or they couldn't pick the puck up, or it was a bad pass. Like I think a lot of it was just like execution from the Penguins not being able to get the rushes, but I understand what you mean. Back to Kev, what do you got?
They let the gas off the pedal for 5 minutes, really, and they just let it out. I'm starting to think that the new defense will be the attacking offense. I don't know if this neutral zone. I think the neutral zone chap will be so 2016. Especially you look at what happened with the Oilers and the Ducks. The Ducks come back. I think teams are going to be more aggressive in the offensive zone going forward. I think the Ovechkin move was a really good move. It allows more balance to the Washington lines. They're playing 11 forward, 7D. It seems to be working well. They're keeping the Irks, as I've called them, the Icks, away from each other. Shattenkirk and Orpik away from each other. They don't play well together. Shattenkirk has been better as the series has gone on. And listen, there's been times when Pittsburgh's had very little shots, and Holtby, Game 2, Washington dominated Pittsburgh, but they got a couple of goals on a couple of lucky bounces. They didn't get that here, so credit Holtby for making for not allowing a goal. instead of making a save. He didn't allow a stupid goal, and to kept
I
the
mean,
team.
as much as the Capitals dominated this game, you look at the shots, and this was just like I said at the beginning, this was a boring game. Fleury had 21 saves.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't
Like you would have thought he would have had like 40. You know what I mean? And the Holtby had 16. So
Yeah.
like it's a weird game.
Yeah, it wasn't exciting. I don't think Washington was there to excite Pittsburgh. They wanted to make sure that they got it back to a game 7, and they did. And credit them. They were down 2-1. Game 5, they came back. They made it to game 6. They made game 6 and make it a game 7. So really good effort for Washington. That's what I have to say.
Simple as that. Trent, anything to add?
Well, now they're just going to have to face the big crowd. Like, it's game 7. It's a 1-game series. And Washington, you have to think that crowd is going to be incredibly loud, incredibly buzzing, because this is it. This is your last run with this team to make a Stanley Cup approach. This is your last run. As Kev keeps on saying, 14 of these players are becoming free agents at the end of this year. What do you do? This is it. This is the be-all and end-all. 1 game. So it's going to be interesting. The crowd is going to be incredible to listen to.
Packer asks, what happened to the Penguins power play? I think it's the same thing that happened to the rest of the team. They didn't execute. They didn't play with desperation, and it just seemed like they couldn't get anything going. None of the bounces went their way. I mean, sometimes it just happens. Teams have terrible games. They're playing 7 games, and they're playing all these games in a row, and sometimes you just have a terrible game. Look, I don't know how to explain it. They've shown that they can do it before against the very same team. I mean, it's nothing huge here. It's just one team played well and one team didn't. And that was the end of the game pretty much. I mean, I was watching this game and I was just like, yeah, Penguins are getting their ass kicked. The Capitals are playing better, and that's just the end of the story. Like, I was thinking to myself, well, how am I going to come on here and talk about this game? Because it's so simple. Like, it's just like the Capitals. Like, it's not like anything special at all. Like, nothing special in this game happened. Like we just discussed, 21 saves for Holtby, or for Fleury, 16 for Holtby. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was like 50 shots to like 12. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like the Capitals blew the doors off, but they just played a great all-around team game, and they got the victory, and now they're going home. So to basically add on to that comment, what's wrong with the Penguins power play, but not what's wrong with the Penguins power play, but how do the Penguins come out in game 7 and do win in game 7? How do they rebound from losing 2 games in a row?
I think the 2 questions that I would have, if you're the Penguins, one is Crosby did take a shot in the boards. He didn't look good after that. I do think the Penguins are beat up. That's the one thing I did notice. Russ got knocked down, Malkin got knocked down, Hornquist got knocked down. They're getting knocked around. For the Penguins to win, they got to score within the first 5 minutes, takes the crowd out of it, and they can control the game. I think Washington can win if they score in the first 5 minutes too. I think both teams are not going to try that. I think they're going to play this very conservatively. But I do think that for the Penguins to win, I think they need the lead. I don't think that they can play from behind right now. I just think that they're being worn down. I really do. I think Washington is wearing them down, and they look like the more injured team at this point. Washington looks healthier today than Pittsburgh does. That's my big concern going forward.
All right. Well, as Chumbawanga once said, I get knocked down, but I get up again. And that's what you see from the Pittsburgh Penguins. You see the motivation, and you see that, they might get knocked down every once in a while, but they get up, they're fighters, and I love their spirit of how they play hockey. They play as a family. They play like every game is basically a game 7, except for tonight, of course. Tonight was one of the most lackadaisical games that they've ever had, but they're not going to have that again. The 2 X factors that I have for game 7 are the 2 guys that you really need to stand up and stand on their heads. Number one for Washington, you need Holtby. You need Holtby to finally steal you a game. He hasn't really done it yet in the playoffs. And honestly, Game 7, he really loves playing in Game 7s. When he does, that's when he's like at his best, especially Game 7s at his home ice. He's going to be feeding off the crowd. He's going to be loving it. He's going to be telling the crowd, you know what? I am the elite goaltender. Elite, whatever your definition of elite is. And on the opposite spectrum, Marc-Andre Fleury. We see this guy constantly, once he has one bad game or one game that he gets really pissed off at himself, he immediately comes back full of fury, full of anger, and 10 times of a better goaltender. So Fleury, you know what? He didn't have an okay game tonight, but he wasn't fantastic. As I said, you could see him being very frustrated. Expect Fleury to be pulling it all out on the line, especially because he might be traded at the end of the season. It's going to be 2 goaltender battles that are going to be incredible to watch. Both these goalies are fighting for their lives right now and their Stanley Cup hopes. So those are going to be the 2 top X factors for Game 7.
I'm going to throw this question out here now.
Go ahead.
Is this the legacy game for Alexander Ovechkin? You have never beaten Sidney Crosby ever in any form of competition. This is the best chance that you have to do it. This is a sudden death game. You have home ice advantage. Is this a legacy game for Ovechkin?
Yeah, definitely. No question.
Yeah, no matter what, it is. Because either he moves on to the next round.
Because either he wins this game and wins the Stanley Cup, or he loses it.
And goes off to Russia.
Yeah. I've been saying since the beginning of the year, the winner of this series is going to win the Stanley Cup. And I'm sticking by that. It's going to Game 7. So whoever wins this series is going to win the Stanley Cup. I've been saying it. Right, Trent? Back me up, bro.
I completely agree with you. And I've been right by your side there, Mitch. I've been saying the exact same thing.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. I'm going to answer my own question. How will the Penguins be able to get – because I know there's some Penguins fans, and I'm here. I'm representing Penguins Nation right now on this channel. There's some Penguins fans out there, and they want to know how can the Penguins respond and play a good Game 7. Well, first off, of course it starts in net. Fleury didn't have a bad game here, but he needs to play great. He needs to make a couple great saves, and that's the same for Holtby. He needs to play great, and he needs to make a couple saves to win them the game. Defensively, when looking at defense, they need to get the puck out quicker. They need to make smarter passes, and they need to be more patient with the puck. They're a little bit too just panicking a lot and just chipping it up the boards or not making the smart play. They need to slow down, maybe get some help from the forwards to carry the puck out. Didn't really see that a lot, and I just felt like the Washington Capitals, forecheck was all over them all game long. Maybe Sullivan will try and do something different to intertwine the forwards into the breakout. That's going to be a big part of next game. Forward-wise, I think, more speed. We need the Capitals forecheck. Exactly. The Penguins need a forecheck the way the Capitals did tonight. They need to be all over them, all over their hands in their defensive zone, make their defensemen tired. And the last thing is we need Crosby and Malkin to play like Crosby and Malkin. And if they do, then the Penguins will win. But if they don't, then the Penguins will lose. Simple as that.
I think if for Washington, I think a guy like Oshie just continues to be his pesky self. Jay Beagle, Tom Wilson, I think those guys need to just continue to be physical. Just cycle that. I think they need to take that game plan that they had tonight and use it again for Wednesday.
Do you think we'll see Mark Streit? Trent?
No, I don't think we'll see Mark Streit again unless there's another crucial injury to one of your defensemen. I sadly think he's now your 7th defenseman.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't play today, but I guess they thought Ruhwedel maybe it was better. And I don't know if he was terrible in this game, but
Well, Streit really started well off with you guys. I liked Streit. When you immediately started with the Pittsburgh Penguins, I really liked him on that line, especially when they had him with Hainsey. I thought he was playing really well with Hainsey. Then Hainsey started playing with Dumoulin, and Hainsey went even more up. And then Streit slowly started sliding down in your lineup.
Yeah, Adam was all over Hainsey in this game, and Hainsey did not have a good game. But this was his only game where he didn't play well. So I can't really be all over the guy. You suck. You're terrible. He had one bad game. People have bad games.
Also, the guy has never made the playoffs until this year in his 35, his 20-year career in like the NHL, he's never made a playoff game
Now,
until
Haynes,
this year.
if you play bad in Game 7, I'll be on here and I'll be pissed.
Haynes is gonna score the game winner, bro, just to smack me in the face for what I said when you guys traded for him.
I hope so. And leading into that, what's our prediction for Game 7?
I'm sticking with Washington. I picked them. I'm going to stick with them. I'm not backing down. I'm sorry, Mitch. All the best. Good luck. But I'm picking Washington. 3-2.
They're the team with more momentum.
Well, they were the team I picked too, so I have to stick with them.
Trent?
I respect that, Kev. I respect for you to stick with the team that you chose. Just like I'm going to stick to the team that I've chosen. Because I chose the Pittsburgh Penguins. And yes, they kind of had a setback the past few games. But overall, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have trust. I have faith in that team. I've seen what they've been able to do in the past. And I've seen what they've been doing, at the odd time. It's not like every single player plays terrible. Once again, except for this game. This game was one off game. But other than that, they always play pretty well. So I had to stick with my Pittsburgh Penguins. It's going to be close. It's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to see this. It's going to be Crosby, Ovechkin. I can see both of them going at it in the corner boards, just constantly at each other because this is it. One game takes it all. I'm going to say Pittsburgh takes it 4-3 in overtime, at least one, if not two. It's going to be so crazy, so insane, and so much fun. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. I think this could be the game of the playoffs. I'm going to stick with the Penguins, of course. I picked them. They are my team. Game 7, got to pick them. But I am worried. It's not to say I'm not worried. The way that they played today, does worry me. If they come out and they play like that, they're going to lose. Simple as that. But I trust that they will come out. They have the leadership. They have the coaching. They have the pedigree to come out and play a better game. I don't expect them to play this poorly again. I think it will be a competitive game. And either way, the better team is going to win. And it's one more game on the line. Game 7. I think it's going to be overtime. I'm not sure who's going to score, but we'll see. Hopefully it's Bonino just because of that call would be amazing.
Bonino.
I will make this statement. I believe Wednesday will be the best night of hockey of this entire playoffs.
Oh, yeah. 2 Game 7s?
Yeah, we got Edmonton, Anaheim as well. And people were very mad at you guys, by the way.
What?
I mean,
I have multiple comments like, Mitch, you not doing a recap last night? I was like, I thought they did the recap. So I come home and I look at the YouTube and I'm like, where's the recap? I was at lacrosse, no recap. I thought, Trent and Adam and Kev would step up and do their thing, but they didn't do it. And I was like, what happened? And then apparently everybody didn't communicate and, a bunch of stuff happened. Would you guys like just to answer that for the people? Because I had multiple comments asking where this recap was.
I take full responsibility. Don't worry. Don't blame Kev. Don't blame Adam. Blame me because I was at work. I was working a full 8-hour shift. Did not get to see any of the games. After that, I had to go to the hospital, pick up a few prescriptions. By the time I got home, it was 11 o'clock. I thought that maybe a recap would have been done already, but sadly it hadn't. And I mean, that's my fault. I'm the NHL guy. I should be on top of it, and I should be talking about my guys and what we're doing. So don't you dare blame Mitch. Don't you dare blame Kev, and don't you dare blame AC. This blame is all for Fetty, all right? All my fault.
That's what Kev thinks about that.
Well,
what?
Just
you muted yourself, bro.
He's just like, well, and he's just like, silence. It's a moment of silence for Trent's stupidity.
Anyways, guys, I think it's time to go. I got to go do the Raw review. Arlo is waiting very patiently. So we are out. Hope you guys enjoyed this recap. It was a little depressing from my perspective, but I tried to be very, and it was very boring. Like, it was just hard to grasp at anything that happened in this game. It was a 5-2 win for the Capitals. Capitals were the better team tonight, but the question is, will they be the better team in Game 7? And whoever is going to the next round. So from Mitch, Trent, and Kevil, hope you guys enjoyed this recap. If you did, like the video. Comment below if you're not live, what you thought about this game and also what you think about Game 7, who's going to win, who's going to take it. And subscribe if you are new to the Bottom Line View and our NHL recaps. A lot more coming. Also, question, guys, before we leave, should we do Game 7 live on the channel? Should I be watching the game, reacting to every shot, every hit, and every moment live with Fitty, Trent, maybe Kev, maybe Adam, while we're watching the game. Would you guys be interested in that, in hearing me freak out over Game 7? Let us know very quickly, and then we'll go off air. I forgot to bring that up, actually.
I mean, just to like give a little preview, you guys have to do it. I mean, Mitch and I got to go see a hockey game live together. Even before that, we watched like a Pittsburgh, like Chicago game, like online. He was freaking out. Like he was freaking out over every hit, every save. Just ow, oh, it's great. It's the most entertaining thing. You don't want to miss it. All right, please tell me that you want to see this.
Packer says yes, definitely. I'll check it out. Kevin says yes. Sports of X says yes. Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7 OT goal, calling it now. Okay, so it looks like we'll probably be setting up a Game 7 live reaction video. Whether Kev is there or not, we'll see. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us once again. Mitch, Trent, Kev, watch the Raw review. Peace out.